Hey folks, glad you're here. You're now on your way to catching more and bigger catfish this winter. Lots of important tips and baits and knowledge that you need to reel them in this winter. Let's get started right now. Let's start with channel catfish, which are known for their voracious appetites and their willingness to bite a variety of baits. In winter, though, their metabolism does slow down, but they still will feed actively. So here are the best baits to use to catch channel catfish in wintertime in your body of water. First is my favorite, chicken liver. It's a classic choice because it's inexpensive and highly effective. That's because of its strong scent. Protein and blood content and texture will attract channel catfish in from a distance, up to about 100 yards away. And here's the real hack. Just wrap it in a piece of pantyhose if using nylon is legal in your area. That way it's going to keep it all together better and allow you to cast it out far into the deepest sections of the lake. And next is large, live, juicy, plump night crawlers. Worms are a natural bait that channel catfish and most every fish actually love. They're easy to find, they're easy to use, and in winter, we hook up 2 or 3 night crawlers onto a single octopus hook to create a larger, more enticing bait. Just want to make sure that you leave the head to dangle because that's what really drives them crazy. And a real hack is to keep the worms in the refrigerator year-round in a nice styrofoam container. That way they stay lively and plump and juicy, and you can use them all year round. Next up, of course, is cut bait, which is just pieces of cut-up fish like shad or bluegill, and that's because the oils and the blood and the insides in the cut bait are irresistible to channel catfish once they hit the water and release the scent trail. Fresh cut bait works best, so if you can try and catch your bait fish on the same day that you plan to fish, that usually will work best because there's more scent. And last but not least are stink baits, which are specially formulated to have a very strong and potent, pungent odor. They come in a variety of different forms, including dough balls, pastes, and dips. Now, stink baits are particularly effective in cold water in winter when catfish rely more heavily on their sense of smell. Okay, now for the real big boys, the blue catfish, which are known for their size and their unbelievable strength. In winter, though, they tend to move into deeper water where the water temperature is more stable. So here are the best baits to target blue catfish in the wintertime. Okay, first up is cut bait. This is the absolute go-to bait for blue catfish everywhere. So just use pieces of oily fish like shad, skipjack, herring, or bluegill. And that's again because the scent and the oils from the cut bait will attract blues from a distance. Larger pieces of cut bait will help catch you bigger fish. So if you can cut them up in the 6 to 8 inch size range, that's best. Next is gizzard shad. Fresh or frozen gizzard shad is a favorite among blue catfish. Just use the whole shad for larger cats, or you can cut it into chunks, 6 to 8 inch sizes for smaller blues. The natural oils and the scents are very highly effective in cold water in winter. Skipjack herring is another excellent bait because it's very oily and has a very strong scent. You can use it fresh or frozen, or you can cut it up into chunks or fillets because blues cannot resist the smell and taste of skipjack. And lastly, some folks do use live bait. If using live bait is legal where you live, it's not as commonly used in winter, but live bait like small bluegill and large minnows can still be effective because blues are very opportunistic feeders and they will go after live prey if it's put right in front of them. Okay, now on to flathead catfish, which are known for their preference of live bait. But in winter, they do become less active, but will still feed occasionally. So here are the best baits to target flatties in winter. Flathead catfish love live bluegill. So if you can find a medium-sized live bluegill and hook it up near the front or up through the lips so it swims more naturally, the movement of the live bait will attract flatheads even in colder water. But again, make sure using live bait is legal where you live first. Live shad is also an excellent bait option for flatheads because they're readily available in many waters where the flatheads live. So flatheads are drawn to the movement and scent of live shad, just like with bluegill. So we mentioned that flathead catfish prefer live bait, but they will also eat cut bait, especially if it's fresh in the wintertime. So just make sure to use oily fish like a shad or a bluegill, cut it up into big 6 to 8 inch chunks, and let the scent and the oils from the cut bait get right into the water and attract the flatheads to your line. Okay, last up are bullhead catfish, which are the smallest of the catfish species, but they're still fun to catch. In winter, they're going to be in deeper water and are much less active, so here are the best baits to target bullies in the wintertime. Okay, bullheads eat just about the same things that we covered in the channel catfish section. First up is large worms. They're a natural bait that bullheads love. They're easy to use again in winter. Just hook up a couple of them onto your single octopus hook, maybe a size 3/0 hook, to create a larger, more enticing, presentable bait. Let the heads dangle. And, of course, chicken liver works. It's a strong scent, will attract bullheads, just like with channels. And again, stink baits work really well because of their potent, pungent odor, and cut bait. Small pieces of fish, like shad or bluegill, maybe in the 4 to 5 inch range, because of the oils and blood. They're irresistible to bullheads as well. And our favorite bullhead bait is literally frozen cheese-filled hot dogs because of the salt, fat, protein, and cheese. If you fish them right on the bottom, especially in muddy water, it works wonders for bullheads. Okay, now for some important tips and tricks for winter catfishing. In wintertime, catfish will tend to move into deeper water where the temperature is more stable, like we mentioned earlier. Look for deeper holes, channels, and areas with submerged structure like logs, trees, wood, and rocks. And in terms of timing, catfish are usually more active during the warmer parts of the day in the wintertime. So if you plan to fish around midday or early afternoon when the water temperature is slightly higher after the sun has been beating down for a few hours. And winter catfishing requires a little bit more patience than it does in the summer because catfish are less active in colder water, so just be prepared for a little bit longer wait between bites. But do stay focused on your rod tip and watch for subtle pulls and tugs. And lastly, to up your game in winter, you can use scent attractants that'll enhance the smell of any bait you're using, and they're really effective in cold water when catfish have to rely a lot more on their sense of smell. You can usually get these online or any of your local bait and tackle shops. Okay, now let's rig up our bait, which is crucial to do it the right way in the wintertime. First is the Carolina rig, which allows your bait to move freely along the lake bottom. You just use a sliding egg sinker, a barrel swivel, and a leader with your circle octopus hook. Next is a slip sinker rig, very similar to the Carolina rig, but it has a fixed sinker, and it's great for keeping your bait contained in one spot. And then you can use a float rig, which is using a bobber to keep your bait suspended just above the bottom. And this is useful in areas that have heavy vegetation, weeds, or debris, or in shallower water. Okay, now for the last section, choosing the right gear. Hopefully you're still with us and you found a few tips along the way. So using a heavy rod with a strong backbone is essential for catfishing and handling bigger catfish, especially flatheads and blues. And you want to choose a longer, sturdy rod in the 7 to 9 foot range, which is going to allow you to absorb a heavy fight and to be able to cast out farther into the deepest pools, the deeper water, where the catfish are going to be in the wintertime. And you want to pair your rod with a very sturdy spinning reel that has a large line capacity that can handle at least 150 to 200 yards of heavy braided line. We use 30-pound moss green colored braided line for channels and bullheads and at least 50-pound braid for the bigger flatheads and blues. Catfish, of course, are very strong fighters, so you need equipment that can withstand their power and absorb the fight. Okay, folks, there you have it. That's the world of catfishing from the bank. And whether you're a seasoned pro or just a beginner, we hope that these tips and tricks and techniques that we've covered will help you reel in more and bigger catfish this winter. So grab your gear, your hot chocolate, and let's get started and let's go catfishing, baby. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.